Hey, I'm Dukes on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a BANT Depths deck from the Maverick Joe. So a huge shout out to Joe and his little ones for sending through the list. I really appreciate it because this is a deck that doesn't see too much play. I would say that other than green-white depths, Naya right now seems to be the flavor of choice, especially for dealing with things on the stack. Blue, of course, gives you access to cards like Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm, but in many cases, red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast kind of do the same thing, but have the flexibility of also hitting on-board permanents. So I think that's probably a reason why there hasn't been too much play with BANT. But BANT is probably one of my favorite forms of Magic, just the strategy that the colors bring. I really enjoy. So I think it's pretty cool to see this list come about and see some players playing around with it. So with blue, what you have access to is cards like Uro, which is quite nice. Slogurk, which is a 3-drop that still has to really perform. It really has to show that it's up to Legacy standards. And honestly, I don't think it is. So I'm going to put this card to the test a lot. I think today I'm going to be green sunning for it a lot more than I usually would, just to see how it goes. Because it is tough. I mean, in a green-white deck or green-white X deck, you have a number of really strong 3-drops in Knight of the Reliquary, Uro, Endurance. It's tough to think of a real situation where you want Slogurk over the other 3. So, you know, why are you playing Slogurk number 1 or over Uro number 2 or Endurance number 2? But I think in this case, it's good to do some trial and error and actually come up with a pretty good understanding of the why, rather than just, it's not as powerful. I think there's a lot more to it. And it does have some pretty interesting advantages, like getting lands back from the graveyard is really huge. Being a creature that can just take over games as well, maybe even a little bit faster than Endurance is quite nice. So Slogurk should be pretty fun. I'm also playing Boseiju in this list. I think Boseiju is fine in this list because we have cards like Slogurk and Life in the Loam to actually get it back from the graveyard. These aren't cards you typically see in Depths decks. Sometimes Loam more than others, but out of the green, white, and Nihilist that I've been seeing, Loam has been kind of excluded, which is fair enough. A lot of the cards that you're playing in Depths put lands into play, not so much into hands. So I do like having access to these two to actually get more from the Boseiju. And at worst, Boseiju is just an untapped green source, which is pretty awesome. It's also not a forest, which comes up against Submerge, so that's definitely relevant as well. So I did make some small tweaks to this list. I added in the Boseiju, I added in the Maze of It to the main deck, I added in a 4th Knight, just to have this really tight package of 4 Elf and 4 Knight. I took out 1 Library and 1 Loam to fit those in. I also took out the Glacial Chasm from the sideboard and added in Tabernacle. Both have pretty big advantages. Chasm really nice at just keeping your opponents off from attacking. But Tabernacle actually removing creatures is quite nice. And because Tower of the Magistrate is actually off MTGO, there's no copies. I went with Tabernacle because there could be a world where my 8-cast opponent doesn't actually have the mana around, if we can be pretty aggressive in that regard, to keep around their X1 flyers and allow a big 2020 to get through. So Tab pretty nice. I still like it against a lot of the same sort of decks. If you're talking about Goblins, Elves, Madness, 8-cast. Elves can be a little bit rough if they have Cradle to actually pay for the Tabernacle, but with Wasteland in our deck, it's pretty nice. Speaking of Wasteland, I also dropped down from 4 to 3 to fit in the Boseiju. And I think 3 is fine, especially with Life in the Loam in the deck and Slogurk to get it back. Slogurk is kind of taking the role of Ramanap in this deck. So having Slogurk and Loam is quite nice to make sure we see at least one in most of the grindy games. I also just added in a surgical to the board. I wanted to have something a little bit more than just endurance or crop against some of the fast graveyard decks. And surgical can be really nice, especially against something like show and tell. I wouldn't mind bringing in surgical with our counter magic because the matchup is just at that point where you kind of have to be pretty aggressive on taking them off, either show and tell or yeah, being able to surgical after an intuition is pretty sweet. But definitely more of a kind of a strategy I wouldn't say is a great way to target these sort of decks, but it does have a small amount of upside, so this should be pretty sweet. The only other big difference is that this deck isn't running main deck prismatic endings, which is still kind of on the fence for a lot of players. Some are playing 1 to 2 in the main deck, some are playing none. And I think it's quite nice, especially in this build, to kind of just focus on getting our 2020 together in game 1, and then worrying about things like Ensnaring Bridge or Blood Moon post-board. We do have Boseiju and Outland Liberator as a Green Sun's target, which is nice, so we do have a few ways to get rid of, say, like a main deck Ensnaring Bridge out of a Khan deck, or a Blood Moon out of a Stompy deck, so pretty awesome to have those. So this should be pretty sweet. We'll hopefully, yeah, do pretty well. I'm pretty hyped about the deck. I think having the green-white core is really nice, and then just having the blue cards on top is kind of, you know, that's the cherry on top. So a huge thank you again to Joe. Let's see you in round 1. Cheers. Hey, welcome back to round 1, game 1. This is going to be a mulligan, unfortunately, just to draw it up as a mana source. So pretty tough. This is probably okay. I think here we're going to bottom potentially just the Wasteland. We have one piece of the combo in Dark Depths and the other in Crop Rotation, and we have the green source for it off Mox, which is quite nice. It could also be Bojuka Bog that I drop. I'm not too sure what my opponent is on, but I think Bog back in the deck is more than fine as well. There is a world where double Wasteland is just a little bit of a game winner as well, so happy to keep this and bottom the Bojuka Bog. I think. Let me just have a quick think. There is a world where, like, Outland Liberator is just the card that isn't going to do anything. Like, there's a high chance that against a legacy player in MTGO, this is Delver, and Outland Liberator there isn't great, other than maybe keeping an Unflipped Delver or a DRC from attacking for too long. But I think we have a pretty quick start in that we have a mana accelerant that there is a world where I went the Outland Liberator. We're just having a quick think. Liberator, if we put it back, we have Green Suns to find it if we really need it. If we put Bog back, we have Knight, Reclaimer, Crop to find it. But at the same time, I think that if we do need Bog against this opponent, we probably want it quite quickly. So we probably can only get it off Crop. But to be fair as well, that although this Crop right now is representing Thespian Stage, if our opponent is on a graveyard deck that just folds to Bog really early on, then I think that would buy us enough time to then be able to find Thespian Stage through another route to win through Dark Depths still. So I think in that case I'm going to drop the Bojuka Bog and at least still have some sort of creature on the field in Outland Liberator. So let's go with Bog. Tough one. Mountain. Okay. So this could be a few things. An opponent keeping 6 with Mountain is an interesting one. And this already gets pretty tough because if we go Mox, pitch Wasteland, and we play Dark Depths, if we draw into Yavimaya, we just have a turn 2 crop into Thespian Stage, which is nice because we can float 2 mana, or 3 mana including the Mox Diamond, use 1 for crop, go and get stage, use 2 for stage, copy Dark Depths. But there's also a case of just not showing this yet, in case this is a deck that plays Wasteland. I don't mind Mox, pitch Wasteland, play Outland Liberator. I think that's just going to be the play. Opponent's 6ing as well, so... This also gets under like a Chalice or a Trinisphere. Ancient Tomb. This looks to be mono red Stompy potentially. Erratic Explosion. Choose any target, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Erratic Explosion deals damage equal to that card's mana value to permanent or player. Interesting. Are they just playing like a Emrakul deck that just deals me 15? No, they're going to target me. Well, let me read this again. Choose any player. Okay, they choose me. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card, and then this deals damage equal to that card's mana value to that permanent or player. So they cast it, and they dealt 3 because they revealed another one. Okay, gotcha. Reclaimer is pretty nice. I'm going to assume this is a burn deck, potentially. This is really interesting. Because it could, if it's burn, it's going to be dealing 1 for 3, which isn't great. So I feel like it's a little bit more than just burn. I do like taking my opponent off this Ancient Tomb, though. And then probably playing Depths into Mox. It is tough, though, because like this Wasteland is my second mana source. So if I play Depths here and lose the Wasteland, then I have to really draw into either Yavimaya or land to then crop. I'm putting myself pretty behind if I lose this Wasteland as a mana source, is what I'm trying to say. But we're definitely playing the Depths. Definitely attacking. And I think I am. Like, any deck that's playing an Ancient Tomb, it's just so hard not to Wasteland the Tomb here. Especially when they did Mulligan as well. Ramanap Ruins. Okay. Interesting. I'm pretty sure this card got banned from Standard. Okay, this flips, which is nice. We don't have mana up anyway to keep up Reclaimer, so we might as well attack with both creatures here. And then just hold up Crop and Sword. Another one. Alright. Oof, what'd they reveal? Jesus, okay, well. That's pretty interesting. At least I can try to make them just sacrifice a land next turn potentially, and then we can Swords our own creature. Boseiju. I'm going to play that as an untapped land. And then I think we just attack with the Trap Breaker. Interesting deck. I think I want to put them on a 2-turn clock. So I think I do want to use probably the Crop here first to then attack for 6 and then attack for 6. So I don't mind just getting rid of Boseiju here. And probably just getting... I don't mind Flagstones. It allows us to hold up Double Sword if we really need it to stay alive. Not great though. I could just go for Stage and then just hope we get a land off the top in case our opponent just doesn't have anything. There's also a choice of just get Wasteland and Wasteland our opponent. That keeps them off, or makes them have to have like 3 mana, like another mana into Erratic Explosion. I don't mind that. The only reason I don't want to get Wasteland is that I kind of want to see my opponent have an extra land and then just try to sacrifice this to deal 2. which then we can sword our opponent in response. But then we're still like, it's still an extra turn that we give our opponent. So I think it is just Wasteland. Pine Marsh. I lose a life? Wow, they don't have it. Nice. That was a ride. That was a pretty big ride. And maybe there was a case of trying to get Dark Depths online earlier, so like if we really needed to, we could Swords our own depths, but interesting. Okay, so we're up against a pretty aggressive deck, so I think we can take out the library. I don't think Loam is where we want to be here either. Endurance doesn't really fit, I don't think. Caracas is probably coming out here. I do like the Spell Pierces and the Flusterstorms. I wonder if they're playing little creatures. I'm going to assume not, and they're kind of all in on this this burn spell. Maze is, I think, okay as a crops target in case they do play creatures. I think this might be it. In case I have like Dead Gone, I still like Sylvan's Safekeeper. But oof. Tough. Tough for my opponent. No. Like we can cast everything we draw into, which is nice, but I think there are much better hands. I want to have at least like a turn 1 creature or turn 1 Mox. This is turn 1 Mox holding up Spell Pierce, which is really nice. We'll keep this. Putting back. Now that's the big one. Oh, Slogurk's pretty cool here. But maybe Slogurk's just too slow. And at least we can just try to like play Depths, hold up Spell Pierce off Mox, and then hold up Crop for Dark Depths. So I think that's actually the play. As much as I want to see how Slogurk goes, I don't think this is the matchup where I want to see how Slogurk goes. Alright. Oh, a second Mox? Not as great. Gonna pitch the Trop because the Trop is just Mox. Play Windswept. Pass. Okay. Well, now if we draw a land, nice. We just have the combo up, which is pretty sweet. Because we have Dark Depths and 3 mana, 2 to combo, 1 to crop. Like at 19 life, I don't think we have to do anything here. We got a 4. Yeah, they show a worm. And this looks to just be it, which is quite nice. And we still have Spell Pierce up, which is cool. Nice. That's the way to do it. We'll see you in game 2. Cheers. Hey, welcome back to round 2. We have a pretty good hand. I'm going to keep this and see what we're up against. Prismatic Vista. Most likely that means it's going to be a blue-white deck. Probably control of some kind. Which means I'm probably not scared of Bolt. My thought was keeping this Ramanap or the the Reclaimer around until I could have it as a 3/4 against a like a blue-red deck. So I could pitch a land to the Mox, I have a fetch land, so one more land to the bin allows this Reclaimer to be online. I think here I'm going to keep the fetch. There's a world where I want the fetch for Dryad Arbor if they're a Teferi deck. A lot of instances with Teferi against this deck is just tick down straight away, so having the Dryad Arbor at sort of instant speed to finish off Teferi is pretty nice. So this Windswept Heath is a pretty big resource. So I think it's just going to be Savannah into Reclaimer. I don't want to show the Mox yet either. I'm not too sure what land I want to pitch to it. They didn't have a Swords, which is nice. Ponder. I've seen High Tide as well pick up a little bit recently, and that deck does play Prismatic Vista to some extent, but looks like you're up against a good old blue-white. Probably Jeskai, but you never know. Okay. Green Suns is pretty interesting. I think I still like getting out Knight here. Probably pitching the Maze of Ith. I don't think Maze of Ith is going to be relevant in this matchup. I'm not going to play the Yav in case they are banned and they don't have access to green mana yet. I'm also just going to get a Forest. Because we have the Mox Diamond for blue. I actually don't want to show that we're on blue. I would love to play this game out as a green-white deck and then obviously show that we have blue post-board. I mean, Flutters and Spell Piercers are pretty nice to have. Ooh, Stoneforge. That's going to be tough, because if they get Kaldra here, we don't have a... Well, they get Batterskull, which most likely means they have Kaldra in hand, surely. I think if that's the case, just going for Green Suns again for a Knight is best. But let's just have a quick look at the deck as well. Like, I could get Uro, but I think trying to get the Dark Depths package online ASAP is where I want to be. And them forcing the Knight most likely means they don't have removal in hand, which is pretty nice for us. Ooh, okay. And now they have Snap into Swords, and I really think I'm going to 2-for-1 myself here. I think that's just worth it. Because the Knight is just so strong. And my opponent is recognizing that by using Snapcaster here to Swords the Knight instead of actually putting in Batterskull. Nice. If we can draw one piece of the combo here, we're in a really nice position. Wasteland. So now we're in an interesting spot because Wasteland on the Tundra, they currently have 2 cards in hand. They have Batterskull and 1 unknown. I'm going to assume, like, I don't think you play Stoneforge without Kaldra in this sort of deck, so I'm going to assume the hand is Batterskull and Kaldra. So Wasteland on the Tundra doesn't do a whole lot, but it does stop my opponent top decking a Swords to Plowshares and being able to Plowshares and also put in either Batterskull or Tundra, or Kaldra, not Tundra. So I think it is worth Wastelanding the Tundra here. And even if they like top deck a Karakas or something, we do have Knight to go and find other ways to remove it. So pretty happy just to take out the Tundra and then pass with Knight up. So they top deck a land, but nothing else interesting. Let's go and get Stage. And then here, I am just going to copy Plains. Nice. I will play this and then just pass. Because this is actually really huge, because Windswept Heath represents Dryad Arbor, and currently Batterskull represents them going up to 21 life. So what we can do is, they put in Batterskull, they untap, they attack to go above 21, we can fetch for Dryad Arbor, block the Batterskull, and then before damage, sack the Dryad Arbor to Knight to go and find Dark Depths, so they gain no life, and then we have the combo in play. So Windswept Heath are actually probably one of the best draws we could have got. And I think they might have seen the line and just gone, yep, we can't beat our Dryad up into Knight. So 2 really nice things here. We got game 1 and we didn't show blue, which is huge. Because now we get to bring in some pretty nice cards. Like Teferi is fantastic, especially against Stoneforge Mystic. If you don't want to deal with it, then you can just bounce it. Which isn't great, it does give them an extra card, but I think it's fine. I don't mind Force. I don't think I want the Oof. I don't think I want the Surgical either. Force mainly there for enchantments. Like, we did only see blue-white, but they could definitely have back to basics, which is pretty tough. What don't I want? I don't think I want the Loam. I don't believe I want the Loam. I can see the Mox Diamonds coming out as well. Just because they're pretty tough top decks, and like Teferi bounce on them is pretty bad. I do like the extra endurances though. I don't mind taking out 1 Wasteland and going down to 2. Maze I don't mind, is just a nice way to deal with Kaldra and Batterskull, but obviously this is a deck where I would really like to have those Tower of the Magistrates. Safekeeper's great. I don't mind going down on Crops against a blue deck, but we do have Teferis and Spell Piercers, so definitely interesting. It's actually I'm gonna take out the Force. I think we have enough ways to deal with artifacts and enchantments. Also with Boseiju as well, it's quite nice. Slogurk may be just too slow here. Yeah, unfortunately. I think I'd rather have the extra endurance. And that's 62. I'm going to drop 1 Knight. Actually, no. I think going for the plane is still correct. So I think just having 2 endurance and 1 Knight is fine. The Liberator is still great as a Green Sun's target. The Library's great. I think it's going to be Karakas here. I don't believe they run any legendary creatures, so I think Karakas is fine. Putting me down to 28 lands, but I'm not running Mox anyway, so... Just going to have a quick look again. I think this is pretty nice. But the extra endurance is probably the card that I'm thinking about the most, especially seeing Snapcaster Mage and being just a really good threat at instant speed. But we'll see how this goes without it. I still like the swords, especially for hitting a Stoneforge Mystic early on. Okay. I don't mind this hand. We have access to both basics, and then Thespian Stage. We could also use Flusterstorm off a Trop or Tundra, so I'm happy to keep this. We also have removal for Stoneforge if needed. Volk Ponder, okay. If they shuffle, I'd obviously love to find a Wasteland, but no shuffle. Crop's pretty nice. It's going to pass with Crop and Fluster up. Because they didn't shuffle, I think it's pretty aggressive there to go after. Alright. They get Batterskull again. Interesting. Step. Well, I'm going to try to remove this. How do I want to do this? I think I'll go... Happy to get the Forest, because I think the Forest is the basic that I want under a back to basics, so that if I can try to go and get a... This is actually pretty interesting. We have some time. So, I do want to get a blue source here, because I want to have access to Flusterstorm. And I think it's going to be a Trop. No, I think it's going to be a Tundra, sorry. Because I want the Forest under back to basics to be able to go and get something off Green Suns. So I think in that case, Forest is the better basic. And they have just F6, so that's pretty interesting. It means they have no counter magic in hand, most likely. Or potentially have a second Stoneforge and just don't care. Ooh, okay. Define Brainstorm. Now we're in a weird spot. I could play the Knight, but I'm a little bit weary of Days Undoing. That I don't mind like taking the turn to potentially play Windswept Heath here, giving us Dried Arbor, which does kill the Narset. I don't mind that. There's also a world where like crop into Wasteland isn't too bad, but I think I'm happy just to give them a turn to see if they do have Days Undoing or not. Prismatic Ending, sure. And it's just going to be a pass. I think if this is the case, I'm happy just to go with... Like, do I really want to attack the Narset here? Or would I rather play Knight, hold up Fluster? I think play Knight, hold up Fluster. I guess the downside of getting a Tundra and Forest instead of a Trop and a Plains is that now I can't hold up Fluster and Crop with one land. Which is probably something I should have considered. And you should too. So let's go with one piece. Ah, and now we also can't hold up. We can't play Knight and also hold up Fluster unless we Crop. So, yeah, the Trop definitely coming back to hurt us. I guess what came back to hurt us is just not getting two jewels. That's probably the big thing. So they have flash creatures in Snapcaster Mage and most likely Hull Breacher, which means I could potentially crop for the other step if they have it. I think I am just going to play Knight, hold up Crop. Brainstorm's going to be fine. I'm pretty happy to... Oh no. Just gonna grab a screenshot in case I need this. See what happens when I try to cast Flusterstorm? This is why I'm not a blue player. Alright. Oh no. One sec. A little bit of technical difficulties, but we'll be right back. Alright, we're in. We are also 1-0, so let's update that. Let this load. A huge thank you to you guys on YouTube. I'm up to nearly 2K followers, which is pretty awesome and a huge little milestone. So if you do like this content, definitely consider subscribing. Okay. So we want to crop away the Dried Arbor here most likely in response. Actually, yeah. Spell Pierce. Okay. Okay, let's just play Knight holding up Trop for Fluster. Snap's going to be okay. Especially if they try to Prismatic Ending here. 3 colors, sure. Let's go for Trop. Haha, didn't expect this, did ya? Ha ha ha. Ooh. Interesting. I think we're just going to hold up the combo here. So we have some options. Do we care about the Narset? If so, step, pro blue, attack Narset, get it off the table. Which does lead us to not being able to then... Okay, let's have a look at this. So, attack Narset means we play step, pro blue, get through the Snapcaster Mage, get rid of Narset. Cool. If we do that, we can't Dark Depths. If we play this step as well and try to play the Teferi, we can't play around Spell Pierce. If we play Thespian Stage, we can play around Spell Pierce. I guess we could also Teferi first as well and then step to take a turn off. I don't mind that. Something like... Oh, no, because then we have to play the stage. Yeah, we can't actually... Yeah, I guess we can use the Knight then. Opponent saying I'm playing slow, which is fair. I am definitely like talking through my lines, so and I am down 12 minutes, so that's pretty true as well. It's actually a big turn. This is the turn, so I think I am going to set up for Teferi though. Yeah, I'm not going to play the land either. Because the upside of being able to play step is huge. They're going to force that. Okay. In that case, I do want to get Teferi off the board. Oh, sorry, Narset. Because we don't have the mana up anyway to go for the kill with Dark Depths. Okay. Interesting. One card left. Okay. Bounce Knight, 2 cards in hand. One is Batterskull and one is Unknown off the Ponder. Whew. Okay. Now this is tough, because the Batterskull puts him up to 19. Can at least make them return the Batterskull here. Okay. So we take this. Bounce Snap. Okay, so they have Snap Sword, which isn't too bad anyway, unless they just want to Snapcaster now and Ponder. Jace is fine. Yeah, maybe it comes back to my my decision to get the basic and the jewel instead of 2 jewels. Alright. Do I want to change anything? I don't mind the extra endurance, especially on the play. Like, is Uro really where I want to be against this deck? That's a tough one. Like, they have a lot of good outs to it. Maybe not. Maybe, like, the endurance is just better than the Uro in my thought. Especially if we're not playing the Caracas, we don't have, like, ways to sort of protect it. And I don't mind losing the Caracas here. Yeah, I think this is fine. Oof. Alright, on the play. Just a Thespian stage, unfortunately, so... mulligan this. This isn't great either, but... I don't really want to go further down. I'm going to drop a Fluster. I don't even want to play the Safekeeper out, I don't think. Like, it's just going to get swordsed. Sure. We can copy the island here as well to hold up Flusterstorm, potentially, if needed. It's just going to be flagstones here, hold up Fluster, unfortunately. I could copy either the flagstones or the Boseiju here to put the Boseiju in the graveyard to potentially get back, but we don't have Loam or Slogurk, so... There is a world where copying flagstones isn't the worst, and then going to get the Tundra out of the deck, but... I don't mind that, because then we actually have Thespian stage up with Tundra for Fluster. Keep this one. Tundra. Reclaimer. Okay. Sadly, Fluster... I guess Fluster keeps... Batterskull off the field. Like, is that good enough? It does keep them off 21 life, which is kind of nice. That could be just good enough. I'll keep the Wasteland for now, just in case they are playing Caracas. I don't want to show it, I'd rather see if they play Caracas first. Copy Wasteland. And then Wasteland our opponent. Tough spot for sure. They have 2 cards left. There is a world where we can, like, block with Dryad Arbor. I also don't want to allow them to just get to the mana to be able to just hardcast Force of Will, so... Definitely a tough spot. I mean, Maze is also pretty interesting, but I think going for Dark Depths is fine. Like, I'm kind of going for it here with no backup, which is tough, but putting them down to 1. Like, if they have, like, Snap Swords, they have Snap Swords. We're also at 5 minutes, so, like, I kind of have to just try to, like, hope the top of my deck is okay. Yeah, I don't think we have an out. Definitely a tough one. Maybe it's a case of just not bringing in the Force of Vigors. Maybe I should have brought in at least 1 for the Batterskull. Yeah, tough. Alright, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Hey team, welcome back to round 3 on BANT Depths. I don't mind this hand, especially as a 7. We have a green Suns to go and find a Reclaimer. We have interaction in Swords and somewhat Bojuka Bog. We have a fetch land to play around Wasteland for a little bit, so pretty happy to keep this. Island Bauble, okay. Most likely going to be a Delver deck. Mox would be cool here. It's not Mox. There is a world where like Stifle would be kind of lame, so I'm going to lead on Plains Pass, and then next time we can go for a basic if we want off the Windswept Heath. I'd love to be able to hit a DRC with this this Swords. I also don't want a Green Suns for Elvish Reclaimer until it's a 3/4, if we can. And also I want to play around Daze a little bit, so... I think that's probably maybe a weakness of mine, is that I do play it pretty patiently in games where maybe I should be more aggressive. Sure. Happy not to Swords here. Another Yav is interesting. Like, I don't mind if they Wasteland me, that I could just play the Yav here. And at least if they Wasteland the Yav, that's 1 more land going to the graveyard for Reclaimer. Okay. Nothing. Huh. Okay. Well, now we have some options. I don't believe I have to, unless they have like Brainstorm, I don't think I have to bog just yet. I also don't have to play the Mox just yet. Like, if they attack, I'm pretty happy to see if I can block with a Dryad Arbor, because that puts an extra land into the bin as well. So I think that's going to be the play. Expressive Iteration is fine. Just hope they don't put a land or a creature into the bin. I guess if they find a fetch land they can. They put a creature. Okay. But no land. Interesting. I am going to fetch here for Dryad Arbor, because I want to entice my opponent to actually remove it. Safekeeper. Interesting. Alright. I'm going to start with Bog. Bog them. Probably should have cast my spell first. Cast Mox. Pitch Yav. I might want... Yeah, I'm happy to pitch the Yav. Play Safekeeper. Oh, and actually Safekeeper turns on Elvish Reclaimer as well, which is quite nice. Wow, no force? Okay, that's huge. Because now if they try to like bolt the Dryad Arbor, we can just sack into Safekeeper to give the Safekeeper pro and pump up the Reclaimer. A lot of nice options here, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so they're going to cast Bolt, targeting Elvish Reclaimer. Well, here, I'm pretty happy to probably sack the Bojuka Bog. Actually, I could, yeah. I could actually target Safekeeper itself. They put a Murktide into the bin, which is fantastic for us. That means they're at no point of getting the Delirium into play, or online. So here, I don't have to give protection because turning Reclaimer into a 3/4 just naturally means I can just give Safekeeper protection. Quite nice. I could give it protection if I really wanted to also block the DRC with the Reclaimer exclusively. I also put the Bog into the bin because it means that if we draw into an Endurance, we could even Endurance ourselves and then try to get it back later on. Do I want to play the Mox? 1, 2, 1, 2. There's a world where having the land is better for Safekeeper. I'm also happy here to attack with Dryad Arbor and put them down to 20. This is a pretty good trade. I mean, the Delver was going to be potentially a flipped creature that I'd have to try to get through as well, which I guess with Reclaimer on board, I can go and get Step, so the Delver not so much of a realistic blocker than one might think straight away. Opponent with 6 cards in hand. Which is pretty crazy. Like, okay, there's Wasteland, that's fine. Still pretty happy just to try to go for stage here. It does come in tapped, of course, so I can't go off this turn, but that's more than okay. Opponent currently has creature and instant in the yard, so even with Wasteland, these DRCs wouldn't become 3/3s. I think you can hold this pretty defensively, unless you're scared of Wasteland from me. Because if you hold this defensively to go after my copy of Dark Depths once I've gone for it, then it can get pretty tricky. They're going to allow me to untap. Wow. Oh, a second Dark Depths. Okay. Well, now we get to play the Savannah, which allows us to hold up 2 mana for Reclaimer and then 3 mana thanks to Yavimaya, allowing the Dark Depths to tap for mana. Ponder's going to be okay. They almost need second Wasteland. Interesting to see double Volk in the bin. Like, they're pretty close to being off Volks, unless they have also Steam Vents. But no shuffle's pretty huge. Misty. Alright, let's trade this Savannah away for a Wasteland. Opponent thinking about a play. What you got, opponent? What you got? Cool game, though. Interesting. This is fine. They must have Stifle? Because we have 21 on field. Plus the Reclaimer, which is more than enough. This allows us to go off now, which is an interesting choice for my opponent. They must have something that I'm just not thinking of. Unless they didn't think that the Dark Depths could tap for mana here. It has to be Stifle, right? Wow. Because now we have the Safekeeper with Yav as well. I unfortunately think my opponent should have kept the Wasteland around, so I couldn't make the 2020 in this end step. Play this. Attack with everything. Yeah. Tough. Tough spot. Prismatic Endings, yes. Endurances, yes. Spell Pierce and Fluster are interesting, but probably not needed. I don't mind Slogurk in this matchup, especially as just a 4/4 creature or bigger. I like taking out the Caracas, the Sylvan Library, the Liberator, and probably the Boseiju. Just having a quick think otherwise. I think this is fine. I don't mind like one of these potentially. Like maybe the Fluster just keep things alive around like... Maybe just one Fluster. I could see two. I think Fluster's just better than Spell Pierce because we don't worry about like Planeswalkers or artifacts. I'm just going to trim on one Moxen and one crop rotation. Pretty sweet hand. Like, removal with Maze and also Swords. Sure. Mox is cool. I could also Mox to see if they have days. I don't really want to lose a land here, so... I don't mind that. Like, it's one less days for like a Swords as well, which is huge. Okay. Let's get rid of the... Savannah. Play Forest. And now just hold up Sword around days, potentially. Getting the Reclaimer online is also pretty nice. I could just double spell. I don't mind that. No flip here is pretty huge because the Reclaimer just bodies it. It makes them actually have to have a removal spell for the Reclaimer. There is a world where the Mox is greedy, especially going down on a land before I can, you know, even cast a Slogurk, potentially. Pretty aggressive iteration. Means they won't get a land drop off it. They could get a Bauble, which is free. Now both of these are just online. And we have 2 mana for the Reclaimer. This is really nice. We can just pass here. I'm probably just going to get a Flagstones as well. Start going wide that way. This Maze is also quite nice because it means our opponent has to have a Wasteland, and if they do, they have to do it pre-attacks. And even then, we just get to lose it, which is kind of nice. So they attack. We'll Maze it. We're in kind of a weird spot because they have Wasteland and Bolt. Like, if I activate Reclaimer here, sacking the Maze, am I really that happy to do anything here? Yeah, I think because we're getting Flagstones, it's okay. I'm going to get rid of the Maze, I think. Because we have double swords. I think I care about Safekeeper here enough to keep it alive. And because we'll have Flagstones with 2 mana, we'll be okay. I'm probably happy to take 1 attack here. And then just keep building up this this mana base. But I feel like we're in a pretty nice position. Even though my opponent has cast 2 iterations. Look in the goods. Graph Cage. That's fine. I'm just going to get a Plains. And then get the other Flagstones. Well, that's a land I don't care about, which is kind of nice. This allows us to get in. And then I don't mind Swordsy on their turn. I could play around Force Negation here. And like make them 2 for 1 themselves. I don't mind that. Just so they can't like hardcast a Force Negation if they kept 1 in. This is fine. They put a land in. Chose to not shuffle. Double Wasteland is fine. I'm just going to get Bog. One thing I didn't think about though was the double color here for Slogurk, but that should be okay. I think this Reclaimer has just done so much at keeping anything from really happening that it's, yeah, been really nice. We also have the mana to go for it, but of course these wastelands are being a bit of a nuisance. I think end step I'll just turn the flagstones into another jewel and wasteland, and then be able to take out one wasteland. It's tough as well, because I am being pretty patient on these swords, but I do want to keep them for like real threats, and right now I don't see this DRC as a real threat. As much as they're getting incremental value off it, the value doesn't really do anything if they're not beating a 2020 with Safekeeper in play. But like, they could be like working their way towards like maybe end the festivities to deal with a Safekeeper, which we do have like the other step for. But it looks like they're going to try to attack this turn. Yeah. I'm pretty happy to take this so that I can reclaim it and hold up stage. Just go to 14. I'll go and get Savannah. I think if I got Tundra, the blue might be a reason for my opponent to go and get something else. And then just get Wasteland here. Alright, Slogurk. Let's do your thing. I'm having a pretty good think about it. Maybe even thinking of like wastelanding me before it comes into play. They're gonna force it. Okay. Pretty happy to swords now. Which, to be fair, I should have let them cast this fail first so they think they still have the DRC around. I'm also in an awkward spot with holding up a Reclaimer here. Murktide's fine because we still have the extra swords. They have 3 cards in hand. They probably want to wasteland while we're tapped out as well. They probably hit like maybe one wasteland, one stage, or like stage and Tundra. Go for stage, that's fine. They can just keep this one as well, they don't have to use it. Yeah, nice. A land here would be perfect, and that is really nice to get. I'm going to start with swords. Nice. And now I don't mind just playing Knight out instead of holding up two. Yeah, so we can't hold up Wasteland, Reclaimer, and Stage here. So I might as well play out a Knight. And then even take them off double Volk. I don't mind trying to win that way. This keeps Murktide off the field next turn as well. It's also so close to just like a 3-turn clock as well that Knight's just so huge. Tough spot for them. Yeah, like double Wasteland, that doesn't really matter. It actually just grows the Knight, if anything. Yeah, pretty happy just to attack with all. They get a 9. Not too sure what their out is here. Okay. This is fine. Copy Wasteland. Wasteland response, that's fine. Loam. Oof. Bog. Maze. Wasteland. So good. Land. Ending. Play around days. Wasteland this. Nice. That's how you win. Really cool. I think there's still some merit to not casting the Mox Diamond on turn 1 and going down a land, because you can get stuck there where you just don't draw the 3rd mana for a while, and so you want that land drop instead of the Mox. Yeah, all in all, pretty nice. I think this deck does pretty well against Delver, as you can see, so yeah, pretty happy to get there. We'll see you in round 4. 2-1, nice. Hey team, on the play for round number 4 with a pretty sweet hand. Pretty happy to keep this. The question is what the role is of Green Suns here. Like, do we need to ramp? We don't really because the Mox. I think the Green Suns could just be a late game target. Like, turn 1 Reclaimer is quite nice here. Opponent mulligan to 6. I could see like Green Suns for Dried Arbor pass, and then try to get this Reclaimer online later on, but even here it's just so strong that I think I'm kind of happy to play Savannah into Reclaimer. No need to play the Mox just yet. There's a world where I could play the Mox, pitch the Windswept Heath, Green Suns for Dried Arbor, and then untap and have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana, which allows us to play Endurance around days. It allows us to Reclaimer and also hold up 2 mana, but I think that's worth it. I think I'd rather see what we draw into. I probably want this fetch land as well to be a land drop and a land in the graveyard instead of just a land in the graveyard. A pedal start's never great. They're gonna brainstorm. Well, hopefully they use the graveyard in some way here. Underground Sea. Ritual Ponder, okay. Not too shabby. Storm currently 3, chose not to shuffle and pass. Interesting. Safekeeper. Not too great either. I don't mind play Stage, play Mox, Pitch, Windswept Heath. We then have 3 mana, and then Green Suns for Dried Arbor. We have 2 mana. 2 mana to use for go and get Dark Depths, and then we untap and we have Dark Depths, Stage, Mox, Dried Arbor, which gives us just the mana for it, and then we still have Endurance Pitch to Safekeeper. I don't mind that. We're definitely playing the Stage. And then I think it's worth playing the Mox here just to get that extra mana. Because if we end step trade the Savannah away for a Dark Depths or a Yavimaya, it's just... we're still just on 2 lands, so I'd, yeah, much rather try to build this out a bit. Could potentially even go get Wasteland, but I don't think that's really what I want to be doing. I want to just be trying to get to my turn as fast as possible. Or my win. Just a pass. Now we have Depths next turn. Step not really relevant. Pretty happy just to pass here. I'd rather have 3 unknowns in hand. Could have attacked, but I think just holding up Bog in case I really need to, like if they try to Thoughtseize me and then try to go off through a graveyard line. Alright, pretty lucky here. Opponent obviously was pretty close going for the Petal Brainstorm line, and then maybe tried to just gain a little bit of advantage by fetching turn 1 into Ponder to find that card, but obviously didn't, so pretty nice. This is probably a matchup where we can drop a Swords, the Loam, and then just some of the creatures that aren't kind of doing what I want in regards to being disruptive. So I think these 9, and then I like the Oof most likely, the Surgical potentially, the Spell Pierces for sure, the Flusterstorms. The Endurances don't seem too bad. Force is interesting, especially if they have a maybe not. Maybe the endings, especially if they think we're on like a Thalia deck, they could potentially play out their spells a lot quicker than we would, but that could also be overkill. If they're on an empty line, I don't mind having the Tabernacle in, just in case. Crops Reclaimer, Safekeeper isn't too bad, just to stop them from being able to bounce the 2020, but I think we can actually drop Safekeeper. And just bring in like 1 Prismatic Ending. I think this hand is just way too fair. I think in the blind this is a fantastic hand. To have the mana that we really want. We don't actually have green with this, which is a little bit awkward, but yeah, it just doesn't... I really want to have like a Flusterstorm or a Spell Pierce for my opener. And this is probably it. I'm going to keep this in bottom of the tab. I'm also going to play the Windswept Heath here and just hold up the Spell Pierce through a Tundra and not show the trop. I kind of like just step past here. There is a world where we could trop into Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, and then if we get another turn, we get to untap and either have 2 mana up for Sylvan Library and then Spell Pierce, if we draw into a green card to hold up for Endurance. Or if we play the step this turn, we can then potentially play Library next turn with Spell Pierce up and then keep the Green Suns, unless we want a Green Suns for Collector Oof. I think getting this tap land into play now is okay, because it's only going to get worse down the line. I'm going to really want that mana. I could see like 1 fetch here, then Brainstorm. I don't think that's spell pierceable. Yeah, I'd rather wait for them to try to go off a bit. I don't think they'll be playing Veil, but you never know. Oof. This feels very nice. Yeah, let's just... I was going to say we should go for Collector Oof off Green Suns here. I'm pretty happy to play Oof here. Could have also played it a bit better, like hold up the Tundra here to like act like we have another Spell Pierce or something else. Tough thing as well is that like Collector Oof is great at keeping off the mana from Lotus Petals and LEDs, but it still allows them to gain the Storm count off them. So my opponent can definitely get there through a Collector Oof, which is pretty scary. Witchclaw's fine, especially with the Oof in play, but I think that's still a pretty good Prismatic Ending target, so hopefully next time we can draw a land, play Ending, and also Library. Green Suns. Not too bad, we can still... I'm still pretty happy to go after this, because I feel like a bounce spell or something is coming for the Oof. I will go for Dryad Arbor here. Increases the clock as well, which is nice. Also gives a second green if needed. Okay. I like attacking first. No bounce. This is probably a spot where I'd really like to have... I'd probably take out Ramanap to be fair, but having like the double Wasteland line is quite nice. I guess we still have double Wasteland line here, which is pretty awesome. So I probably just want to play the Library. Attack with just Collector Oof. And then double Wasteland my opponent. In end step. And I think I'll take them off black and the ability to ritual up. I guess I should have also potentially tried to Wasteland first before cropping, because we could have cropped into Step here to save the oof. Ooh, Rider Flame. Now the question is, do I want to keep them off an additional red here? I think I do. Pretty nice because we have the collect oof for those wish claws. Spell Pierce is fantastic as well. I don't want to pay, but I will pay for this. This means we can go this, hold up, Spell Pierce, attack with Knight. Now it's a really tough spot for them. Just good for us. But yeah, definitely an interesting take on the endurance there. Like if I thought about Galvanic Relay being their card they were trying to cast at 3 mana, then the extra mana doesn't matter unless they have something, potentially. Like the 1 mana left over could allow them to like get into another Rider Flame and then start going off that way as well. Alright, they're going to try something. Ah, oh, we can't Spell Pierce it. I guess you can Spell Pierce it, it just does nothing. Finding a Wasteland would be nice. That's pretty good as well. Put on top, put on top. Play this. I'm pretty happy just to Spell Pierce this, I believe. I have 2 cards left. They have 1 card left. Ah, and they go out in style. Nice. Very cool. Nice to take that one because I think the blue there did help. Especially with like Spell Pierce hitting non-blue cards, which Pyroblast can only hit. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So let's hope we can finish this off strong, and we'll see you in the 5th match. Thanks. Hey team, welcome back for round 5 on the play, which is nice, against Kentaro. And this hand is actually pretty nice. We have the combo and also Loam, so I'm pretty happy to keep this. I think it's going to be Mox, Pitch, Depths potentially. Opponent's kept 7. Play Trop. Loam back Depths. Flooded Strand Pass. I'm not going to Loam here. I kind of like stage Green Suns for Sylvan Safekeeper. And even if they try to kill the Safekeeper here, I'm happy to get rid of the Trop. Because we have the Loam as well, which is nice. Which is funny, because I probably want to try to play the... Forest first, if that happens, to play around Days on Loam. Could also just draw Mox Diamond here and go off. But I will get the Loam back. We hit an Uro, which is pretty nice as well. A draw step, interesting. I didn't expect that. I don't really even need to Loam here, to be fair. I don't mind just copy stage with Forest so they can't like wasteland us off the stage. I think I feel a Murktide coming. DRC, sure. Bolt. I probably don't mind this and just going all in on Dark Depths next turn. Like if they have like a main deck Brazen Borrower, they have a main deck Brazen Borrower. But why are they going after the Safekeeper? That's the big question. Like if they're going after the Safekeeper this hard, I feel like they do have something. Like a Brazen Borrower in hand, so I think I will try to save. Flagstones is nice. I probably want to play around Days here. The question is, do I want all of them or just a few to keep that Uro in the bin? I probably want the Trop and the Tundra. And then Night, Forest, and 3 cards from the Loam is 5 for the Uro. As a just in case. Flagstone's also really nice with Sylvan Safekeeper. They're playing Chain Lightning. Interesting. me. Okay. Pretty happy to play around days here. And then dredge the draw. There's a bog, which is pretty nice. I'll start with... I think I'll start with Loam. Get back. I do want to try to bog them, because I want to keep them off Murktide as much as possible, and I don't want to swords the Dragon Rage channel and then have the Loam hit. I think it's just going to be a 1-for-1. I guess I could get the Windswept Heath. Yeah. But I need blue. Green, sorry. Yeah, so Bog, Windswept Heath. They force it, that's fine. Play the Tundra. Attack for 1. And then I think I still hold the swords up until their end step, in case they do have Murktide. That is probably the bigger threat here. They've gone to attacks first, which is interesting. Okay, still happy to take it. Hardcast Steam Vents. Oh, sorry. Pay mana for Steam Vents. Surely they don't have double Murktide? That would be rough. No. Okay. Blue, blue, green, green. Row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Ah, that feels good. Really tough. Like, this Wasteland puts a lot of pressure on the Dark Depths plan, so to have the Uro there is so good, because it's both a threat and also just a way to keep this Dragon Rage channeler from really dealing damage with the gain 3, take 3, gain 3, take 3, so... Oof, pretty nice to take game 1. It's going to be very much the same thing in games 2 and 3, if there is a third, as the other one. I think it was just something like this. These 6 take out the Library, the Liberator, the Boseiju, the Karakas. Most likely the Slogurk, but it's interesting. 1 Crop, 1 Mox. I believe that was it. I think Slogurk's still fine. Yeah, this all seems pretty good. Tabernacle is definitely interesting, but not where I want to be. I think a lot of their plans play around Tabernacle. If they were on something like a Young Pyromancer plan, then I would be pretty keen to do it, but pretty happy with how this plays out. But yeah, I think one thing I could have done better this league is just really evaluate when I had Fluster and Spell Pierce and how much they've performed over having Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blast. Because I think that's the big thing. That's the big thing between playing Naya and BANT, is that why play BANT when you have these effects already in those colors? But Fluster, you know, Spell Pierce hitting Planeswalkers like Khan is pretty huge. But like, is the flexibility of something like Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm hitting non-blue cards and non... yeah, is it better to have the flexibility there than the flexibility of blast effects also hitting things on the table once they're resolved, like a Jace or an Uro if you really have to? I don't think it is, but it's nice to have access to them. I will say that, especially Spell Pierce. This used to be such a big card in Legacy, now it's sadly just not there. All right. But again, I want to try to take this a little bit slower, especially this game 2 where we have more removal as well. And this is a fine hand. It can get stuck with this one land, but I think that it's just too good to not keep, especially on the draw. Okay. Bobble. Okay, so they mulliganed once, I believe. They put a land in the bin, so they're not looking for lands, which is pretty interesting. So that makes me think they have at least one other land in hand. So I think for now I'm happy just to Savannah pass, holding up crop. Looks like they're going to try to turbo out a Murktide here, which isn't too bad because you have the Prismatic Ending for the Dragon Rage Channeler and the swords for the Murktide. Dryad Arbor. We're going to go with Wasteland. Prismatic Ending this. And then Wasteland them, so they have to either Wasteland us next turn or play a Murktide. Steam Vent's paying 2, most likely because they have Murktide. Nice, this is fine. They have 3 cards in hand. I do want to play around Days again, so I'm just going to go for swords right now. They have the Force, that's fine. Wasteland's annoying. Another DRC is very good. I think now we sadly just have to play out Dryad Arbor as the green source. They drew 1 card for turn. Take 8, go to 4. I could also Uro them. Like if I'm losing this game with cards in hand, including Uro, then I could, including Endurance, and I could see a world where I just Endurance here. Which would allow me, if I really wanted to trade the Dryad Arbor for the DRC. And then try to find another land for crop into Maze to keep this Murktide off the field for a while. It's tough though, because like we're taking 8 here going to 4, or we potentially... Yeah, I think I will Endurance. And I'm going to get rid of the Reclaimer. The Uro is my way back into this game. Oh, it makes it bigger. Yikes. So now it is just a 2-turn clock. Should have thought about that. That's actually hilarious. I think now we just have to hold back the Dryad Arbor and then hopefully be able to block and also crop away for Maze. Which isn't great either. I'm going to try to keep the Dryad Arbor here. They have 1 card. Oof. Mazavith. Maze this. All right. I don't believe that does anything, unfortunately. Yeah. We can maze back Dryad Arbor, it can't block. We can maze back Stage, it does nothing. Savannah, Wasteland, yeah. Tough. I think maybe that was a case of just being a little bit too patient on that one land and not like using Prismatic Ending early on. Teferi isn't the worst as like another bounce spell, and also just like means that their counter magic's turned off if they kept any in. I think Slogurk isn't where I want to be here. And even the 4th Knight, I think I'd rather try out the Teferis here. I still like the Crops, especially Crop being kind of a way to remove creatures with Mazavith. I think that's pretty strong. Teferi also just buying time is quite nice. Making them have to deal with that instead of going at me. Probably some little things there that I can... that's probably a game I can look back on and be like, I made a mistake there. This is a better play. Made a mistake there. Tough. Preemptively endurancing is also difficult. Like, if you think your opponent has a Murktide and you can't currently beat Murktide, it's hard to be like... It's hard to pull the pin and say, like, let's endurance here for the sake of endurancing and getting rid of their graveyard. But yeah, Delver definitely the deck that I want to play against if I have the main deck Prismatic Endings. If you don't have those, it is a little bit tougher. Especially when they have 12 to 14 threats. It can be tough to rely on just the Swords to Plowshares because the most one's definitely been countered. And then you have 3 left to try to find. Or try to win with your 2020. But like Wasteland does do a lot to keep you off that combo, so definitely an interesting one. Maybe the Night Thrall, maybe like an extra, maybe the extra crop is better than Night. I could see Safekeeper coming out as well. Like maybe Teferi is my Safekeeper in a way. I do think Safekeeper has a lot of play to it, but... no, just a one-lander with no removal. Okay. This isn't too bad. Keep bottom one. Keep and drop one Dark Depths. But it is one of those games where like Delver can just take you off the green source and then you just lose. But I do think it's better than a 5. Opponent thinking about their hand as well. Kentaro Kori. Cool art on the bog. I never realized this was a face coming out of the bog, which is interesting. Marit. Wasteland, very cool. Crop, obviously. Oh, such good artwork. But yeah, sadly, I don't feel confident on this hand, but I don't think going to 5 is going to make anything necessarily better. It's still a fine 5. Has the mana there for the combo as well if needed. They mulligan to 6. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It actually turns on the combo next turn. So I'm going to play it out because we can go Dark Depths into crop. So we'll play it out. I think here I'm happy to see crop away the Yav. This plays around Wasteland. Ooh. Pretty aggressive, but this puts them on like one of Caracas potentially, or like Submerge, but they're playing Brazen Borrower, so I don't think they would have Submerge. But I think this is better going for it here than allowing them to like play a Wasteland. And seeing Brazen Borrower, yeah, makes me hope they don't run Submerge. It's tough because you can't really play around there, like getting rid of both forests. Oh. I don't mind Bog. Tough. Even the music stopped. Can definitely rebuild, which is nice. Okay. No threat yet, which is kind of nice. Chose to not shuffle. Sure. Surgical stage, sure. One, two, three. Pretty happy still to go for Reclaimer here. Force, okay. I knew they had Force, I didn't know they had another card. Yikes. Tough. Definitely where Mox Diamond is not great. I think here I'll just get rid of the Bajuka Bog and get Crop. Tough. Never feels great getting submerged. Murktide. Rough. Not too much we can do there. And it's going to be a 3-2 finish, which is tough. I do think the matchup is good, but unfortunately, yeah, just couldn't really do much with the cards we were dealt. Let's go and find the list. I think that was a really good showing of where, like, we didn't draw into the flusters, so we wouldn't have had like the Pyroblast in that spot, but that's definitely a matchup where it's really nice to have those Pyroblasts, so that if you don't have the counter magic for Murktide, then it's pretty nice to be able to deal with things on the field. Let's quickly move these up here. Overall, the deck felt pretty nice. Slogurk's tough. It is a really cool card to look at and say, hey, this might fit in lands, but I think from like a competitive standpoint, it's just so hard to not be like a second Uro or a second Endurance, especially in that sort of matchup. That, yeah, I think it would take something else that's pretty broken that works really well with Slogurk for Slogurk to kind of come into the Legacy format as as more than just kind of a fun of. As much as I enjoy the card and think it's great, it's yeah, it's a tough one to really consider over another card. So that's a tough one. Otherwise, like, the Flusters and Spell Piercers felt pretty nice. Against Storm, we got to deal with some non-blue cards on the stack, which is cool. But yeah, I think going forward, like, the big reason to splash blue is potentially Uro as like a secondary way to deal with your opponent. But if you already have like a pretty strong Knight and Reclaimer package, then how much of like the beatdown of Uro do you need? And like, maybe it's just the life gain. Like against Delver, I think that the 3 life is very relevant. That Uro might just be better than Knight. Yeah, definitely a tough one. Pretty fun league. Like, didn't really see the Besiju when we wanted it. And didn't really need it at any times. There's no times where we're like, oh, I wish we had the Besiju. Teferis as well are always interesting. We can't maximize its potential because we don't really play at instant speed too much. So, you know, being able to green suns at instant speed is really the only kind of cool thing you can do. We're not playing like Ponders or, I guess, Prismatic Ending in a way you can play around with. But yeah, just a tough one to finish on. But a huge thank you to Joe and his little ones for sending through the league. Yeah, if you like this content, definitely consider subscribing to YouTube. I'll be here and back with another list in a few days, so hopefully see you then. If you think about BANT and have any comments about it, definitely leave me a comment below. But until then, yeah, enjoy your evenings, your weekends, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.